The video that I'm gonna put together has two purposes. The first purpose is to actually show the seller why this device is not working as it should or not working as I expect it to. And the second one is to actually explain why most Chinese manufactured smart remotes are not working and why certain buttons are not working on the device. So I'm gonna use two remotes. The first one is the one that I actually currently use is the Mele F10 Deluxe. It does a good job. It has a small flaw, but other than that, it's actually really good. It has a QWERTY keyboard on the back, and yeah, this is the one currently that I'm using. The another one is a newer one, is the Zobitech i25A, and it has some huge flaws, really bad ones that it makes it or renders it unusable for me. The first problem that I had with it is currently it's in standby mode. So normally if it's active there is a blue LED there, and there is an on-off switch. So hopefully I can focus it and show you that the device is currently in the on position, but it's in standby mode. So my first problem is, if I press a directional button in this mode, in this standby mode, it's gonna activate the air mouse function. So I'm gonna press a direction button, and for no reason the air mouse function activated. And that's pretty annoying, because every time you put down your remote and pick it up again and you want to do something, the first thing gonna happen is the cursor is activated. And I have to so-called lock it, and if I go back to my own thing, it's gonna disappear. So that's really annoying. The second problem is, there is, as I mentioned previously, an on-off button on the device. So if I turn it off and turn it back on, guess what? The first thing that happens is the air mouse function activates. Again, I didn't activate it by myself. I don't really need it. The whole Android TV platform is pretty much based on the promise of you don't really have a pointing device to actually get through the UI. So having an air mouse function is good, but I don't want to be activated when I don't need it, and 99% of the time I don't need it. So this is annoying. But the biggest problem with it is it has a symbol that, to me, it means, please focus. In the middle there is a back button. You know, it's a very recognizable symbol. And let's see what happens if I press it, because it's not really doing what you would expect. So if I press it once, instead of sending the back command to the TV, it sends a right click to the TV. And for Android, right click doesn't mean anything, because how the operating system works, it's not utilizing the right click. It sends a right click, and instead of going back, again I'm pressing the back key, instead of going back it sends a right click and the cursor appears. If I use the directional buttons, it disappears. But again, if I want to go back, it sends a right click, so the cursor appears. Now, for reference, here is another device that has a very similar symbol on it. Again, as you can see, there is a back button. And guess what? If I press that button, it actually goes back. And I can go back to the home screen. it's actually sending the back key. So that was the first half of the video. The second half, I'm gonna go to my PC and actually show you that what is really going on in the background and why certain remotes are not working. For example, this remote has one flaw, and the flaw is that the home key is not really sending the browser home command. So Android doesn't really know what it should do with it. It sends the normal home key that's on your keyboard, you know, insert del, home, and page up, page down. And it sends the home key instead of sending a command called browser home. So right now, if I press the home key, nothing happens. The only way I can use the home key is this device. So you can use its IR function, and I'm able to taught my original Sony remote's home command. So it was smart enough to actually, I was able to basically remap this key. And the only thing I have to do is these buttons in the blurry ones in this row, they are mode buttons, and this button is the 2.4G USB mode, and this one is the IR mode. So if I press the IR mode, I'm in IR mode right now, and if I press the home button, oh, I cannot really demonstrate it, but I just go into Twitch. So if I press IR mode and home button, it actually goes to home. The reason why I hate IR is because my soundbar is in the way to the TV. And if I use a IR remote, it's the rays are blocked by the soundbar, and that's annoying. That's why I'm actually looking for a good remote that is works on 2.4G, and you know, you don't really have to point it towards the TV, it just works. So let's go to the PC. So for the second half, I'm gonna show you what the buttons are actually sending to the devices. For the demonstration purposes, I have an application which can capture the mouse and the keyboard events that is actually sent to the window. So if I click, you can see I click the mouse, right, middle, side buttons. If I press the enter or space or any kind of key, you actually gonna see the so-called key code and the key code actual value. So this way I can show you that what the remotes are actually sending to the PC in this case. So I have the Mele F10 Deluxe and the i25A with me. So I'm gonna start with the Mele. So if I press up, down, left, right, that's okay. I'm gonna do the same thing with the re up. As you can see, the first thing that happened is activated the cursor. So I have to turn it off and start over. So up, down, left, right. Basically, they send identical commands. That's fine. Okay. Let's move on. I'm gonna use the middle button on the inside of the D-pad. That's the Mele, and that's the re. So it's again identical. Volume buttons. That's the re, and this one is the Mele. Again, it's identical. I mentioned that the Mele's only issue is that it doesn't send the right home button command. So I'm gonna demonstrate the re again. As you can see, it sends a browser home command. If I use the Mele, or if I use the Mele's home button, it sends a home key. It's actually equal to the home key that's on your keyboard. You know, insert del, home, and
page up, page down. So it's the same as this is the keyboard and this is the remote. And this command doesn't do anything with Android. It's just absolutely pointless. I think in some ways it makes me really angry, because I would really know what the engineer actually thought, that, like, you know, the home word is in the command, so it's probably good enough. But you know, there's a huge difference between the two commands, because this one works and this one doesn't. Other than that, like, we have like mute. This is the Mele play controls. They are identical. We have a voice search for the re, so that's plus, and that's pretty much it. So the biggest issue is that when I actually press the back button on the Mele, it sends a browser back command. So as I mentioned, that browser back is the back on Android, and in browser home is the home key. What the re really doesn't do, it doesn't send the right key. So if I press the back button, it sends a mouse right click. It's equal to my, if I'm pressing my mouse right now, there is no difference. So and Android doesn't really recognize the, other than it knows it's the right click, but it's not gonna do anything with it other than, you know, showing the cursor. So this is the correct back key, and this is the wrong one on the re. And funny enough, this is the right home key, again with the re, and this is the wrong home key with the Mele F10.